Hi, everybody. I'm Scott Peters. I represent San Diego in the United States Congress, here tonight for the State of the Union address from President Trump. My guest today is Dr. Jim Brewer here. He leads the Alzheimer's Project at UCSD in Neurosciences. It's the oldest continually funded Alzheimer's work in the country, over 40 years, and he's making progress on track to cure that disease and to solve it, and we're really close to some really big breakthroughs. I'm concerned about this because all over San Diego I hear people concerned about these cuts to NIH. We have over $2 billion that comes from NIH every year, the National Institutes of Health, to fund basic research at some of the top institutions in the country doing this kind of work. And it leads the world. And I have to say, we've written the playbook for the rest of the world, that we're the envy of the world. And I'm afraid that these cuts that the president is talking about to NIH are really short-sighted and going to be devastating. Jim, would you tell us a little bit about how these cuts would affect you, the scientists, and the patients that you work with at UCSD?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for your advocacy and your work on behalf of San Diego and certainly the biotech industry and the academic center of UC San Diego. We really are the envy of the world, and particularly in Alzheimer's disease, where we've, again, like you said, been around the longest, 40 years, and that allows us to establish very deep roots in the community, and it's allowed us to lead the charge on making new diagnostic processes. So this is what's really transformed the field right there in San Diego. So the risk of cutting funding right at this time when we're making so many new advances is that we're going to lose that edge, and it takes a very long time to rebuild from a lost edge of that.
If this gets cut, what do young scientists think about doing? They're not going to be very incentivized to do science in the United States, right?
Already there's fear. Already graduate students are very worried. They may go on, these very, very talented young burgeoning scientists are going to go to other, maybe countries, in fact, because that talent is one of the biggest impacts, because if we don't have that pipeline of talent coming into the field, we're going to lose our edge.
And we know China is investing in this. Also talk a little bit about the patients, too. I mean, you're dealing with patients. They're in clinical trials. What happens to these clinical trials if this money is pulled out from underneath us?
Clinical trials are absolutely a cornerstone of scientific advance. These are patients that are participating in trials to understand the disease better. And it's the only way we can understand this human disease. It's a human disease, so we need human participants. And if we lose the funding to do that, then these patients not only can't contribute to the understanding, but for a lot of them, it's really their last hope for making advances. The first cured patient from Alzheimer's disease will be a clinical trials participant, and losing funding for such very important work is just going to be devastating.
And there's a really good chance that that patient would be in San Diego because we're so far ahead on Alzheimer's for the rest of the country and the rest of the world. And one of the frustrations I have is that this is being done in the name of cutting waste. But can you imagine you throw out all the results of a clinical trial, all the money we've invested as taxpayers into this? That's wasteful and it's short-sighted. One of the things we've tried really hard in this past few congresses to do is to bring back the semiconductor industry, which we invented in California, but which went overseas and prospered. We don't want that to happen to biomedical research. We want to continue to lead the world. It's a very small investment for us in the big picture as taxpayers, and we should keep at it and not do these cuts. So that's the message we're going to give tonight to folks here. We hope that Donald Trump will get that message and that on this issue he'll come to his senses, and let's get back on track with American science.